Welcome back to The Franciska Show, a Jewish coffeehouse podcast, where we encourage fellow artists and entrepreneurs to collaborate and support each other while sharing their stories. I am Franciska, a singer, composer, music producer, coach, and also your host. Thank you so much for joining and listening to this podcast. I look at the numbers and I am so impressed by how so many of you are still checking in even with everything that's going on. I'd like to also mention that ModMath now is offering make your own home kits. So if you are looking to straighten your teeth, now is a great time, especially because other beauty services aren't really available to you right now. So this is something you can do to improve your smile. And hopefully when this is all over, you'll have something to show for it. So if you're interested, please reach out to 1-844-MODMouth. That's 1-844-MODMouth, and make sure to tell them Franciska sent you. I am so excited to announce to you that this week on Lag BaOmer, we have a new song coming out called Modim Anachnu Lach that has Dvorah Schwartz featured on it. Also, the lyric video is made by Raquel Rice, and the song was mixed by Hill Kapnick. So I am so excited. Make sure to stay tuned for that. If you are serious about turning your art form into a real business, figuring out how you can monetize your talents and how you could create a high earning business, definitely reach out. And here you go. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks again so much for coming back and listening. And if you are enjoying this podcast, make sure to tell your friends about it so they can check it out. Today on the show with us, we have Chana Jenny Weisberg. So, mom of 8, inspirational blogger, and creator of JewishMOM.com. Welcome to the show, Chana Jenny. This is so exciting. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started, what you've been doing, and tell us how it all started.
So, I grew up in Baltimore in a conservative Jewish family. I attended a Quaker prep school, a Christian prep school when I was growing up, a friend's school. So when I was in college, basically, long story short, I became a Balat Tshuva when I was 21. And so I married my husband when I was 24. By 26, I was a mother. And basically, I had been, I'm the daughter of a psychiatrist. My mother was a psychiatrist. My grandmother was a professor, an education professor. I had never really seen the model of a mother who motherhood is her main thing. And I was really so when I've had my first daughter who just turned 22, I was at the university. And I had been planning, and when I was pregnant, I said, so at what age can I said, at what age can I send her to a babysitter? Because I was planning, how quickly can I get rid of this baby? So I can have my career and finish my master's and do all the important things that I had to do. But then, as soon as she was born, it was I didn't want to leave this. She was such a cute baby. It's the last thing I wanted to do in the world was leave this baby. So basically I found myself as a stay-at-home mom with absolutely zero emotional preparation for doing so. I had spent my entire life, I went to a prep school, then I went to Bowdoin College, which is a liberal arts college in Maine. And I had spent my entire life with very, very high career goals for myself. And I thought, I'll have a career and I'll also have a family. But what happened was, as soon as I had my daughter, I was like, no, I want to this is what I want to do. But I was so conflicted. I felt on the other hand, I felt this is what I want to do, but I felt like I'm such a loser. This is all I'm doing. So I think that JewishMOM.com came out of that. That basically it started like a journey for me about finding the meaning and the importance of being a Jewish mom, raising the next generation of Jewish kids. And basically, I found different teachers to guide me to find, to realize that really that in this role, that there's so much importance and so much and a wealth of spirituality and inspiration. And so my goal, my goal in JewishMOM.com is to make every Jewish mother smile every day. Not that I've achieved that yet, but I'm still trying.
So tell us how that works.
That works. How do I do that?
Well, yeah, and what's your day-to-day? What's involved in JewishMOM.com?
So every day I sit down, usually for about 2 hours, but usually it takes longer. Usually kind of like a little bit kind of like spreads into 3 or 4 hours sometimes. And I just write something that I think, and I always think to myself, is this something that will make Jewish moms smile? I do it every day. So every day I do that I've been writing now for 19 years every day.
Wow. You are a pro. You know, I've been reading about the definition of amateurs and pros, and the pros are the ones who commit to doing it every day. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so what are the topics that you write about? And then I know you feature a lot of other people's writings, a lot of other mothers' writings on your blog as well. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So the topics that I cover, it's always related to it's related to motherhood, either my life as a mother or people, just kind of general things about inspirational ideas about motherhood, or just general ideas that would inspire Jewish mothers. And the truth is, I actually I don't feature other people's writing so much. The reason that you're saying that, I think, is because I featured you.
Yes, you did.
Which is how this should have happened. That I'm on this podcast, so that was how we got connected. But I posted the amazing song and the beautiful story that you had written about a loss that you had experienced. So I posted that. But the truth is, I thought it was an exceptionally moving piece, which is why I posted it, and an amazing song. I've actually posted a bunch of your songs.
I was going to say that. Kol Barama. Yeah.
I have to say, that song that you sing, the Kol Barama, like, it sticks in my mind. It's like I can't, like, it's just, and I posted it, I think, a few years ago, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sticks in my mind. Like, it's such an amazing tune, melody. And so I usually post my own writing.
Got it. Fascinating. Okay. So I personally, before we move on to other topics, for me, the topic of inspiration has been complicated, because when I perform, the goal is to inspire other people, but I find that difficult for that to be the goal for me when I get up on stage. For me, it's creating an experience that people enjoy more than inspiring them. So when you think of topics that are inspirational, what kind of thoughts go into it? And I'm assuming you live your life in a way where you view every experience you have in that lens of how you're going to share it to inspire other people, which makes your life a whole different type of life, because you're living it through a different lens. You have a different mindset for every experience you have.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think that what I do, I think maybe I don't exactly say, how will I inspire mothers? But I think of like what I'm learning, what I'm personally working on right now, what I'm struggling with, and what inspires me. Because I'm always like, I take a lot of different classes, and I'm always learning different new ideas, and I'm always struggling. I'm a Jewish mother, so of course, like, inherent to that is that I'm always struggling with something, and also a human being, which means I'm always inherently always struggling with something. So basically, a lot of the blog is just kind of like what I'm struggling with and what got me through what I'm struggling with. I think also an important part of it is validating. It's like providing, like, not only inspiring and saying, this is amazing, we're Jewish mothers, but saying, like, validating and saying, like, this is tough. And I just want to say something also, like, especially I think for Jewish mothers, and even more so for observant Jewish mothers, like Orthodox Jewish mothers, since we tend to have larger families, the average Orthodox mother is not having like the average, 2.2 children that, have a little bit more than that, sometimes a lot more than that. And there's also like the added stresses of, getting ready for Shabbos and getting ready for the holidays. And I think that we don't appreciate just how much extra stress there is on us. At the same time, I think that we have access to a huge amount of potential inspiration and meaning and significance of what we're doing. But I think we shouldn't So I try to validate mothers in general, and also Orthodox mothers in particular, to remember, like, this is not easy. Like, even though the fact that you live in a place where everyone, like, I live in a community where everyone around me, all the women around me are observant Orthodox Jews. But that doesn't take away from how tough this is, how rewarding and wonderful and spiritual and potentially uplifting and amazing, but also very, very tough.
So you bring that breath of fresh air to everyone who's doing the grind and doing it day after day, and it seems like everyone's surviving and somehow doing it, but really inside everyone probably feels like, how's everyone else keeping up? This is so exhausting and overwhelming.
Totally.
So what are some of the topics that get the most engagement and interest? I know you have a wide reach.
Right. So I've noticed something I love. Okay, once I looked into what posts got the most hits, and the words that people most click on are the words Mazel Tov, congratulations, which I think is such a wonderful statement about Jewish moms, that Jewish moms like love to hear that something good, something wonderful just happened to another person. Yeah, and also, sadly, I think the second most popular like word that I know is a trigger to get the most hits is tragedy. Like Mazel Tov and tragedy, and I think again like that, like it shows like when something like that, we want to be happy with each other, but also we care about one another when tragedy strikes.
Yeah. So do you include these trigger words into your titles often just to get more engagement?
I think the other day, I have neighbors, and they had 5. They were like themselves an unlikely shidduch, an unlikely match that was made between them for various reasons. And they had, after 5 girls, and they had a boy. So I wrote, instead of writing, a girl after a boy, I wrote Mazel Tov. That was the title. Mazel Tov to the impossible shidduch. 5 girls and now a boy. Because it was because I knew that the word Mazel Tov, and it worked. Like, it was a very, very popular post.
Right. Interesting. So cool. So take us through a little bit of how you grew. Like, was everything organic in terms of, growing your audience? Yeah. And then we'll talk about if this is a financial rewarding. By rewarding, I mean, are there any financial rewards to what you're doing?
Right. Yeah, it's been completely organic, but I've been doing it for 19 years. So occasionally people will get in touch with me and say, I want to start a blog. How do I get a big audience? And basically I just did just one, like everyday posting, growing on Facebook from I remember when I started with like 70 people following me, and now it's over 11,000, but that took 10 years. So really, it's and also Facebook closed my ad account. So they blocked my ad account because they don't like that I just post. I think that they like a different kind of ad. They don't like that I just put up my articles. So they banned. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't promote myself on by paying. But it's worked. It's worked just by doing word of mouth, and people, like one friend shares with another, and it's in Baruch Hashem, like it reaches, it's just happened organically that it started reaching a larger and larger, progressively audience.
Right. And
Yeah.
about the monetization end of it.
Okay, monetization. So I haven't monetized JewishMOM.com. It's something that occurred to me a few years ago, and I spoke with my rabbi, and I realized that the small amount of money that I could make by putting up ads, just wouldn't be worth it for me. I feel like JewishMOM.com is this holy space of inspiration, and moms can go there without being bombarded with like shaitel ads, etc. Not that I have anything in shaitel ads, but I'd rather keep JewishMOM.com. Like no, and I don't do promotions in general. But actually more recently, my husband and I actually we started a family business. So that's actually more recently, like over the last year or so, it's been taking. So in addition to my JewishMOM.com, I'm actually doing something that makes money. And we host groups of tourists. My husband has a business called Chef Rabbi Josh, chefrabbijosh.com, because he's a rabbi and also a chef. So he cooks an amazing meal. He's very good. And then basically we host groups of like Jews and non-Jews. And then they ask us questions about Judaism and Israel. And we love it. It's fantastic. And it's profitable.
Well, congratulations on that. And it's so interesting how you say it wouldn't be worth it and you don't want to pollute your brand by having any promotional material on your website.
Yeah.
Have you had a job over the last 20 years or so that you've been doing JewishMOM.com? Was there something else you were doing too?
Basically, my youngest just turned 5. So like up until now, I was really very busy with that. Like, in Israel, the like nursery schools end earlier. So I had like every day only until like 1:30. I'm picking up my kids. So there wasn't really so much time to work. So basically, it's only now that I've gotten older and my youngest kid is older that I'm actually doing something that makes money. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we got all the logistics out of the way, I'd like to talk more about your content and what you stand for and your philosophies. So, being a Jewish mother is your area of expertise. I'm just curious,
Yeah.
do you ever run out of topics to talk about? Are you ever nervous that you're repeating topics? How does that work? If you write every day, I'm sure you are repeating something.
Yeah. I think for me, like it's like a daily miracle that every single day I have something to post. And generally in the morning I wake up and I have no idea what I'm going to write about. And then always like this has been going on for like 19 years. Like every single day I have something but by the time I need to write something by like 2 p.m. or whenever it is, used to be like 11 a.m. when I had to pick the kids up earlier. So then I feel like it's because I'm giving something out to other mothers that God sends me. It's like this daily miracle. He's like, okay, here's an idea. God always sends me every single day, like something to write. And I'm sure that I'm repeating myself. A funny thing happened like last year is that I had this real chiddush. I had this real I thought it was this incredible new idea. And I said, I just read this idea and I think it's incredible that every time we do a good deed, like let's say every time before we clean up or we help our kids or we change a diaper, before we do that, we're going to say, it was my intention that I'm serving God through doing this mitzvah of ahavta l'orecha kamocha, loving your neighbor as yourself by changing this diaper and whatever it was. And I thought this was a brilliant new idea. And then one of my readers, like an old time reader, she pointed out to me that this same idea, that I'd quoted the same idea. Let me just think. I think like 12 years before in my second book.
So
basically, I thought this was like amazing idea, and I already said it like 12 years ago. And 12 years ago, I completely forgotten. So I'm certain that I repeat myself all the time. But basically, it's kind of, I feel like it's mostly like a documentation. It's a documentation of my own genuine process as a mother, emotionally, spiritually, So yeah, and I write what I'm really going through. And
So
I'm sure I'm repeating all the time, but it's real and it's yeah.
no, and clearly it kicked off because the women are interested. And I'm
Hmm.
so curious because you're displaying your life in a very public way. Have you had
Yeah.
any resistance from your family or yourself that you're displaying your personal life on such a grand scale?
Yeah. So I think that most of my kids are happy about it. They're like excited. I think that they like when like, we walk down the street and then like people recognize me. Like I think they're like, oh, that's cool. Like my mother, like people know who my mother is. Like that's really cool. But on the other hand, I think that someone asked me recently, like I tend to write about my little kids and not anything about not about my teenagers and what they're going through. I write like about a cute thing that my 5-year-old said, or that my 2-year-old's wetting the bed, or I don't know, whatever. But I don't mention my 16-year-old and what she's really going through. Because I feel like it's not like I'm not like that. Like that's like it's a boundary cross in terms of their privacy. So I wouldn't consider doing that. So basically, my teenagers, or now I have older than teenagers. I have a 22-year-old. I don't want my personal stuff about them. And my younger kids, I do. Um,
And what about
so
personal things when it's
about me,
concerned to you, but it's about their experiences, but how it reflects on your life? For example, shidduchim. Yes, it's your child's shidduch life, but I think
yeah,
the parents through the shidduch process are experiencing it on a whole different personal level as well.
right. Yeah, so I'm definitely not going to be writing about my kids' shidduchim experiences. Um, sometimes like that's definitely what's like on the forefront. Now I have older daughters, like it's definitely on the forefront of my mind. Like, but I'm definitely not. Maybe I'll write about it in a vague way, but never about like. And someone suggested this, but I don't think it's a good idea. And no, I'm not going to be doing that.
It's a real balance because you want to be authentic and you want to keep growing and sharing that growth with people. However, you're censoring yourself and your family on very
Yeah.
important topics that
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's true.
so it's interesting how you're handling it and how you have to deal with it really. It's
Yeah, it's complicated.
100%.
Also, I don't write about my husband. I never. I mean, which is so like I write that I have a husband or something kind of parv about my husband, but I never write anything. Actually, this is something I learned from Rabbanit Yemima. She was one of my first teacher, Rabbanit Yemima Mizrahi. She's the one who really set me off on my way of like JewishMOM.com and inspiring Jewish mothers. So I learned from her. Never. So I never say anything good or bad about my husband.
Could you give us a little more about that?
So I will never say, oh, my husband gave an amazing Devar Torah, like little Torah speech at the Shabbos table, or my husband helped so much, or my husband is so sensitive. Or I will never ever say anything, and I'm not going to say whether things I just said are true or not. On the other hand, I will not say, negative stuff. I won't say my insensitive husband, my husband who never helps out, my husband who is a whatever. I'll never. I don't say anything this way or that way because I think that so Rabbi Imima she said who is a bad friend. This is something that she said like I think 15 years ago, but it really made an impression on me. She said, who is a bad friend? She said a bad friend is someone who tells you how amazing her husband is and makes you feel like your husband is a schmo. And at the same time, she's a bad friend is a person who, when you complain about your husband, she agrees with you. So
Okay,
I just
repeat the last thing again.
okay. So the first thing is the person so the first thing is a bad friend is a person who says how amazing her husband is, and a bad friend is also someone who, when you complain about your husband, agrees with you.
Uh-huh.
So I took it's not exactly that. It's I'm what I got out of it is a little bit different, but I decided, okay, I'm not praising my husband and I'm not complaining about my husband. My husband is a completely part of character in my life.
in your public life.
My public life. Oh, yeah. Definitely not in my private life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm struggling with this concept a lot because I do put my life out there a lot. And my music and my podcast is my brand, and it does not include my husband in terms of my brand. Nothing I'm doing reflects upon him. However, everything you're doing reflects upon him because you're representing a Jewish mom. I guess you're not saying Jewish wife, so it doesn't implicate him directly, but that's part of your brand. You're the fact that you're a mother and you have a family surrounding and you're involving other people in it. So I can't imagine doing what you're doing and having to censor everything.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
You know why? You know why? Because I don't censor very much what my feelings. My feelings, what I'm going through, then I'm pretty out there. And I think that's what makes it so like relatable, that people are like, oh, she's real, she's honest. And I'm not like and I'm not presenting myself as like this perfect kind of like a role model that everyone should be perfect like me. The opposite, like I struggle with a lot. There's a lot of things that I'm not doing so great, and things that I struggle with. And so with that, like I'm very honest. And as far as it relates to as far as my inner life relates to my family members, I tend to just be vague. If it's like things that I'd rather not share, then I'm vague about that.
Okay, so I'd like to transition more into what your next step is. You know, is this what you want to be doing for the next, I don't know, pick a number, how many years? Like, is this, you know what, I found it, I'm staying in this zone, this is amazing, it's working for me, it makes me so happy? Or is there something else you're working on or hoping for, dreaming of, that you wish you could do? And I just remembered the question I wanted to ask you before, which is, do you know who your audience is? Because I think many of the women, if I'm right to assume, it's more of the conservative women who do have access to the internet because you're on the internet. They identify with those, you know, keeping the private and the public, and they're not judging, but they're not expecting you to share any more than you already are. So, yeah.
I think my audience is mostly probably majority Orthodox.
I mean, on the spectrum of Orthodox.
Yeah. So it's interesting because my husband runs a program for modern Orthodox girls, and he's like a program director for a STEM program. And I know, like universally, like the moms have never heard of me. And so I know, like to a certain kind of modern Orthodox mothers, I'm completely not. I'm not reaching them, more or less. Okay, and I'm not sure why that is. But I think it's more, and like, you know, the very like if you get further right, then there are women who don't have internet access. So I'm somewhere between like kind of centrist Orthodox and kind of the more open-minded, what you call Haredi, like population. Yeah.
That's where I thought you were, and it's awesome that you've captured that audience, because I don't know who else has that audience online. Yeah.
That's interesting. Also, a lot of like Chabad women follow my blog. Has Rishi Deitch is the editor of the Neshei Chabad newsletter, and she's a very long time reader of JewishMOM.com.
She reposts a lot of your.
She reposts my stuff, so like I know if I ever go to a Chabad house or any of my kids, I know I have big kids, so like they're traveling, whatever. I tell them, if you go to any Chabad house with an English speaking like Rebbitzin, mention me, and then you'd get like preferential treatment. Like, why not benefit from it? Yeah. Okay,
that's awesome. Okay, so let's get back to that question about what's in your future, what's in your dreams.
So I really don't know. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and it wouldn't surprise me if I ended up like kind of segueing kind of into something kind of similar, but or something kind of related, but something different. It wouldn't surprise me. At the moment, I'm not doing like speaking. I'm not going around and lecturing but it wouldn't surprise me if that was something that I'd start doing. Rabbanit Yemima, she's also a friend of mine. Like we lived together. We used to be neighbors. So I know her before. I know her when she was like Yemima, the Ulpan teacher. She used to like teach Hebrew.
Right.
So I remember like years ago, she said that I should be, why don't you go and lecture? And so it wouldn't surprise me if that was a next step, especially now that my kids are getting older, and I have more flexibility. Um, but we'll see. It wouldn't, and maybe I'll get more into this project, this Chef Rabbi Josh. Actually, now we have like a new thing. It's a new project that I'm doing. We're bringing in groups of Jewish women, like from federation groups mostly, and like women who are conservative reform, and we're bringing in like a Hasidic Rebbitzin to speak with them, and I'm kind of like the interviewer. And so we have like a woman. I don't know if I should say her name because I don't know. She's like, we have like a woman who's married to a Hasidic Rebbe, and she's going to be coming to my house. She lives in Beitar. She's going to be coming to my house, and I'll like ask her questions, and then the audience. And that's something, who knows? Like maybe that's like an interesting thing, like interviewing, but also making money, also making a salary from doing something that I love, which is meeting like interesting, wise Jewish women and talking with them about their lives.
Yeah, fascinating. I keep saying fascinating today. I don't know what to say that. That's really cool. That's sort of what I do now. I mean, I'm doing this right now with you.
Yeah.
But you would be doing it as an event. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. But it occurred to me when you were like I like this podcast idea. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. It's just like there's like a lot of different ideas.
Well,
but right now I'm really happy with JewishMOM.com. I love what I'm doing. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage you to think like that because you already have a platform, you already have an audience and a brand, and people accept information in different mediums. And today you can create content in different mediums. That's super fun. And I knew you'd have something, on your mind that you're thinking of or you had on the tip. So cool. So if there were any things that you would say, reflecting back on the last 20 plus years of being a Jewish mom, what are some of the things you've learned? Is there anything you regret giving up for being a stay-at-home mom? What would your reflections be?
So now when I'm no longer a young mother of, I still have a young child. My youngest is 5, but I'm really not a young mother anymore. And I'm more like young grandmother age. I'm not a grandmother yet. I hope I will be in the whatever.
Amazing.
Not b'shah tova at the right time. But when I see young mothers, like people like you, when I see young mothers of like little kids, then I'm just so struck. And like in my neighborhood, it's like all young mothers. So like I'm surrounded by all these young mothers of little kids. I'm like, wow, that is so hard. When I compare that life with mine, like, and people look at me and they say, oh, you have 8 kids. That's so hard. And I only have 2 and I'm completely falling apart and I'm completely overwhelmed. I think the mother of the 29-year-old mother of 2, I think it's much harder than what I'm doing because it's like, you don't have the help that I do. It's very big different, having a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old versus having children ranging between the ages of 22 and 4. It's 5, and it's completely different. So I just think, like, my message and what I think looking back is just like, wow, how hard that was. Also, like dealing with pregnancies, Like I get really sick. I mean, I guess most people do. I get really sick at the beginning of pregnancies. And I think that I didn't really appreciate how tough it was what I was going through. And at the time it felt tough, but I was kind of like, get your act together. Other women, you only have 4 and that other woman has 12 and she's managing and she has a spotless house and your house is a mess and etc. But like, what we're doing is very hard. And so that I think is my message, to appreciate, like if like for a young mother, I guess for any mother who can get help with babysitting, help with, cleaning her house, like to get herself out of the house, to go have a nice time, like go out with her friend for a coffee or go to a museum. I don't know, just do whatever you think is fun, like making that time. And don't think to yourself, oh, well, I have it so easy and I'm not even working. And I'm only home with like 1 kid or 2 kids or only 3 kids. I don't deserve like the help. I can manage. You just know like what you're doing now with like the pregnancies and the births and after births, etc., the postpartum and everything. It's so difficult. And now that my life is a lot easier, like I'm just looking back and like in awe of what I did. But you guys who are still doing it, you guys who are still like in the young mother of young children trenches, like get the help that you need. Like allow yourself to get help, because it's very, very hard.
Yeah, I love that message. It resonates with me a lot. That's part of why I started working, because I felt like it justified to get help. I couldn't just accept help without having to add a load on to my life.
Right.
And so the guilt aspect, the judging yourself, comparing yourself to other moms and what you think they could handle versus what you could handle. So yeah, those are definitely all thoughts that naturally come to us as moms. And there's so much more expectations on Jewish Orthodox moms because of the amount of the bigger families that we're expected to have, or putting out Shabbos, 2 Thanksgiving meals a week. Yeah, those are high expectations that are daily and weekly.
Yeah.
And they put a lot more pressure on us. So I find your wisdom to be extremely on target, and I appreciate this. And I use those messages a lot in my coaching and in my life. And I've been transforming myself ever since I've acknowledged that I started feeling these feelings. Amazing. With becoming a mom. So yeah. So this was such an amazing talk. So where can people find you or reach out to you if they wanted to?
So my website is called JewishMOM.com. Or that you can follow me on Facebook. It's, Facebook.com/JewishMomCom. And also Instagram. It's the same thing. Instagram.com/JewishMomCom.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And
yeah, thank you so much.
So much for listening until the end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to check this podcast out on your podcast app. If you need to figure out how to do that, if you have an Android, you need to download a podcast app, or Spotify or Stitcher. If you have an iPhone, then you should already have the podcast app downloaded to your phone called Podcasts. And then you search for The Franciska Show. While you're there, please make sure to subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Also, join the Artpreneur Facebook group. And if you'd like to schedule a strategy session with me or a discovery call to see how you can transition from being a hobbyist into a businesswoman, or how to just simply grow your business, then I'd love to speak to you. You can reach out by emailing me at franciskak@gmail.com. K is spelled K-A-Y. And of course, through Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening to The Franciska Show, a JewishCoffeehouse.com podcast, and we'll see you next time.